Today we're going to talk about give and receive. It's the 80-20 rule. It's based upon the Pareto Principle. Pareto was an Italian farmer. He grew peas, and what he found was that 20% of his pods produced 80% of his peas. Microsoft found that in responding to 20% of their software problems, they were able to take care of 80% of their customers. In business, a company finds that 20% of its sales force produces 80% of all its sales. You yourself may have experienced this, maybe at church or with a little league or an organization that you've been involved in. 20% of the people end up doing 80% of all the work. Now, we could go on and on with examples of the Pareto rule, but for us, we're going to call this the give and receive, or the 80% rule, because what I want you to do is, in your business, learn to give away 80% of all your content and sell 20% of the rest of your content. And what happens is, when you do this, you give information to people that they need, that they're looking for, and that they want. And by giving them 80%, you then earn their trust. And when it comes time for them to make a decision and to go forward, they come back to you and they'll buy your products. I remember years ago, in fact, back in the 80s, when I was in the life insurance business, what I found was that we were taught to set 3 appointments a night with people to sell life insurance policies to. The concept, of course, was the more appointments that we set, the more sales that we would make. Well, I ran into a little bit of a challenge. What I found is when I would go into people's homes, I realized they didn't know anything about life insurance and the various policies that they could purchase. Basically, they would hand me their policy, and a $100,000 policy is what they had, and it cost them $14.28 a month, and the first thing they wanted to know was, can you beat that price? Well, typically I could, but what I found was they didn't understand what they were buying and what that insurance policy would do or not do for them. So I found that I had to reduce my amount of appointments from 3 a night to 1 a night, because I realized I needed to explain the different parts and aspects of what a life insurance policy was and how you could obtain that. Well, most of my evening was spent sharing those different types of policies. And then, rather than trying to tell that customer what they needed, I then let them choose what it was that worked best for them. I found that in reducing my amount of appointments and by sharing the information that the people needed to make a decision, I actually sold more life insurance policies. Well, the same holds true when it comes to monetizing your website. We all know that when you start a business or when you monetize a website, you're wanting to sell products or information. And that's true. But in following the 80-20 rule, you're going to find that you'll gain trust. You're going to educate people with the information that they need within your niche. And by doing so, when it comes time for them to buy, they're going to come back to you. So, remember the 80% rule. Give 80% of all your information away. And then the second part of that rule, the 20%, is to sell the balance of that information. Remember, success comes through failure. Think about it.